The eBell project, or e-business enterprise learning for women, involved across Europe are the Women's Organisation from the UK, Kelly Business School from the University of Limerick, the European Centre for Women and Technology in Norway, and the Human Development Resource Centre from Slovenia. The aims of this particular module are to help you to understand the basic functions of LinkedIn and to gather some tips on how to particularly use LinkedIn to build your business contacts and to build that business network. And hopefully the main thing you will take away from this module is the chance to evaluate whether LinkedIn is appropriate for your business and how that can fit with your wider marketing strategy. As always, we advise that you ensure that you minimize disruption for yourself, so perhaps turn off your phone or let people know that you won't be available for the amount of time, and go through all the resources that are available. Download the handout booklet that goes along with the module so that you have all that information to hand. And if you're working in a group, just remember to respect one another's views and confidentiality, but more than anything, just relax and enjoy the module. So if you are working in a group, now's a good time to introduce yourselves to one another. So perhaps just say what your name is and your business or your business idea. But just to introduce myself, my name is Jo Austin and I represent the Women's Organisation from the UK. And I also run my own business, Jo Austin Marketing, where I specialise in social media marketing. So hopefully you'll be able to utilise some of my knowledge around this topic for this particular module. If you haven't already done our Promoting Your Business Online strategy module, you may want to pause and hop back to that webinar first. That particular webinar will just give you a general overview of social media tools to help you to evaluate which ones might fit sensibly with your strategy. And so from there you may choose particular modules to focus on, LinkedIn being one of those. So if you haven't done that already, you may find it useful to do that first. But if you're happy that you think LinkedIn will be a useful tool for you, then feel free to carry on with this particular webinar now. So LinkedIn.com is the tool that we're talking about here. When we think about LinkedIn, it is a social network, so it's often compared to Facebook in that sense, that they are both social networks, but LinkedIn is a far more exclusive version, much more business focused than Facebook. It's somewhere you can build an online CV, so you can say all of your experience and background. It's a place where you can refer people to so they can see all that information about you, so they can start to build up a picture of your expertise to see if you're someone, that they would like to work with. Your LinkedIn page is also a place where you can get recommendations of other people, so that can help to add weight to whatever it is that you've said about yourself. If someone else adds a recommendation to that, to say yes, they agree that you have those skills and that you work really well, that can just add that bit of extra promotion. You can add business pages on there, and you can join and create groups on LinkedIn, and we'll show you a bit more about these things as we step through this particular module. The key point here is that I think LinkedIn is particularly good for business-to-business networking, and especially where selling yourself as a person, your background, your expertise, if that's essential for your business, then LinkedIn could be a really good promotional tool for your business. So a good example might be a consultant or a coach or mentor, by showing what qualifications you have, who you've worked with before, what experience, what key skills you've got. will be really useful to help people understand you and whether or not you're the best person to work with. So as we step through this module, it's useful to refer to task 1 in the handout booklet that goes along with the module, because we will go through the different elements of the LinkedIn profile. And so as we're doing that, you might want to start populating that information within task 1. I said right at the beginning that LinkedIn is a more exclusive social network, so let me just qualify that. With Facebook and other sites like that, it's much easier to just link with people regardless of whether we know them or not. We can send them friend requests, follow them on Twitter. With LinkedIn, there's very specific criteria that we need to meet in order to make that connection with someone. And the reason we would want to link or make that connection on LinkedIn is we must have done that in order to send someone a message on LinkedIn. So we can have a look at one another's profiles, but the moment we want to start interacting with each other, we must request a link. And the criteria for making that link is as follows. So the first would be that we can make a link with someone if we have worked together at one of the places that we've listed we were employed. Second is to know their email address, or the third is to be a member of the same LinkedIn group. So we talked about groups, I'll show you as we go along a little bit more about that, but there's plenty of groups on LinkedIn around particular joint interests or areas and things like that that you can join, and those will be displayed on someone's LinkedIn page. So you can hop on and have a look at some groups that you want to join, build connections that way, send people whose email addresses you know a connection request, or have a look on LinkedIn for people you've worked with either as an associate or as a colleague at your previous place of employment, and you can start to link with those people on there. LinkedIn is the place to show off your skills, experience, and it is free to have a profile. It's free to join the groups. It's free to message other people that we've LinkedIn with. The first and most important step to ensure your success on LinkedIn is just to get a really well filled out profile, so people can really understand what it is that we're about and what we represent. So as we're filling out all the information about ourselves, our employment history, etc., we'll be bearing in mind the reason that we're on LinkedIn is to promote our current business. So even when we're talking about our previous employment history, we would highlight within that the key skills and key tasks that are relevant to our current role. So people can really start to build up this picture of us as an expert in that particular field. What we'll do now is just look through a profile together so we can understand how this works in practice. Much like Facebook, we can upload a profile picture to LinkedIn, and sometimes people can be afraid of using their own image, but I would suggest that with LinkedIn it is about selling you as a person. So don't be afraid to put a picture of yourself. It helps people to trust you and to engage with you and to start to recognise who you are. So upload a picture of yourself. It's the first step. LinkedIn will always then show your name and your most recent job role taken from the experience that you fill in. We'll show you where that comes in. So choose a job title that you feel comfortable with. It might be director, business owner, founder, manager, whichever role you think represents what it is that you do at your business. Much like Facebook and Twitter, we can post updates to our LinkedIn profile, and this just helps to add weight to the experience and expertise that we're boasting about on there. If we add really interesting updates that show that we know what we're talking about, This just helps to reinforce the message and just helps with our LinkedIn marketing. If you have got a web address, or if you're on other social media sites like Twitter, we can also display the links to these on our profile, and that will help to increase traffic to those particular pages, because people will be able to click through to get through to your website or your Twitter profile. You can add your website and social media links, so Twitter for instance, and this will help to increase traffic to those sites. So as people click through those links, they'll be taken to your website or your Twitter. Your LinkedIn profile has its own unique web address. This is really useful for us, particularly if LinkedIn is our main web presence. We can use this on our marketing materials, let people know they can find us on LinkedIn at this web address. And it's also an address that we could add when we're talking to people about ourselves, recommending ourselves for some particular work. We could let people know what our LinkedIn profile address is, so they can go and check us out and have a look at our experience and background. So our own unique web address via LinkedIn, really helpful. As we scroll down the page, the next section we'll come to is our summary. It demonstrates what we're all about. So we're thinking here about keywords that someone might search for to find somebody like you. So what is it about yourself that's most interesting? What are your key skills? Try to include these words within your summary. And then as we move down from the summary, this is where we start to see our work experience. So as we're filling in our LinkedIn profile, and we can edit this at any time, you can see next to each job role is an edit button, so we can hop back and change that if we don't like the way it's worded. But it will just ask for your job title, when you worked there, and what your key responsibilities were there. If you have quite a disjointed CV where there are gaps, you may want to just use the year or just represent the month rather than the exact dates that you move from one position to another, and that's absolutely fine to do on LinkedIn. As we move down, the next section is our skills and expertise. Again, we're thinking keywords. What are those keywords that describe the areas of expertise that we've got? Once we've set these particular skills and expertise up, other people on LinkedIn then have the opportunity to click on these. They become buttons which people can click on to reinforce, to say yes, they agree that we do have that skill or expertise. So as people click on that, their icon, their picture will show next to that particular key skill, and it will calculate the number of people who've done that, who've endorsed these key skills. And then what it will do is it will reorder those clicks on the most to say yes, they agree you have this expertise. That will show at the top, and it will move down in order. So it's really nice to invite other people you know on LinkedIn to hop on your page and to click on those buttons to just reinforce they agree you have that skill. And it's a really good relationship building tool to hop on other people's profiles and do the same for them. So if you know they're particularly good in certain areas, hop on their LinkedIn profile page and click yes on their skills and expertise to endorse that. Beneath that, we'll see our education history. So you could add university, school, whichever education you think is most relevant for your current position, and you can add as much or as little detail there. With any of these sections, we can leave them blank, but what I would advise is fill in what you can that is relevant, because it just reinforces your profile and it looks better if each section is completed. Beneath that is where we'll see the recommendations section. And again, if we've got contacts we know are already on LinkedIn or people we've worked with before, we can let them know that we're now found on LinkedIn. We can use that unique web address to let them know where, and we can ask them to hop on and give us a recommendation. So this goes beyond clicking to endorse our skills and expertise. That's the click of a button. A recommendation is where they get the chance to write a few sentences letting people know exactly what is excellent about you or your service. The more people that do this, the better it is, obviously, for marketing purposes, because again, it's not just in our own words here, it's other people reinforcing this and saying that we are really good at what we're claiming to be good at. Beneath that on our page, so beneath our recommendations, is where any groups that we've joined will show on our page. And you can see at the top there the groups button and also the search bar. So we can search for relevant groups to join, and this is one way to start networking with other people. So we might search for groups of other businesses in our local area, or we might search for particular awarding bodies that we're a member of, or other business groups. And so these will show on your own profile page here. If you remember, we said LinkedIn is a more exclusive social network, and I talked about the exclusive ways that you can link with someone. So you must have worked together either as a colleague or as an associate, know their email address, or be a member of the same LinkedIn group. And this last suggestion is our back door. So if we haven't worked with them in any capacity before, so it might be the CEO of a really big company that we really want to make that connection with, we've searched on LinkedIn, we can see they're on there, we want to make that link with them, but unfortunately we've not worked together in any capacity before, we don't know their email address. Being a member of the same LinkedIn group can be our ticket to success. So we can have a look at their profile to see what groups they're a member of, and have a look if there are any of those groups that will be sensible for us to join too. This way, that opens the door for us. So once we're a member of that group, we can then find that person again in the group members, and we can send them a LinkedIn link request saying that the reason for the link is that we're both members of the same group. And once they've accepted our request, then we'll have the freedom to send them a message. So this is one of our ways around it. So if we've not worked together before, don't know their email address, then being a member of the same group can get us through that barrier. Beneath our groups, we can show our contact information there. You can show your birthday, your address, your phone number. Add as much information as you feel comfortable being out there on the internet. But remember, if you are using it for business promotion, then it's sensible to have some business contact details on there so people know how they can get in touch with you. Beneath that, we can make it clear what kinds of connections we're happy to make. So we can identify reasons why people would be contacting us on LinkedIn, and there's a few options there. So new ventures, business connections, those sorts of things. We'll highlight to people what it is that we're interested in making connections for. That way we shouldn't get too many unsolicited requests. Hopefully, as we've been going through those slides, you've been referring back to task 1. So now take a moment to pause and start to populate task 1 with those different elements of your LinkedIn profile information. I'd suggest just starting with your summary and those keywords for your skills and expertise, as those are going to be really important to help people find you. If they don't know you and don't know your work history, then the summary and skills and expertise are going to be the key elements to draw people to your page. So pause now and complete task 1. The key to success of LinkedIn is to just carry on building your network. So the first place we'd start is at the search bar in the top right, and we'd start with searching for people who we've perhaps worked with before. So because it's easy to make that connection with them, we can state that that's the reason we're making the link. We've worked together before, and we can highlight which of our job roles we worked together with them at. So beyond those people, if we want to make contacts with other people, we've said we can get around it by perhaps joining groups. But if we search for a particular contact that we're interested in connecting with, and we don't want to make that connection via groups, there is another way around it. As we search for that person, LinkedIn will indicate to us if they are a second, third or fourth link to us. What that tells us, if they're a second link, that means we know someone on LinkedIn who knows them. If they're a third link, we know someone who knows them, etc. And the reason this is useful is we can then utilize this information to make a really nice and formal business introduction to ourselves. So if we can see that someone's a second contact, we can identify who is the contact that connects us. Same if it's a third or fourth degree connection, then we can send messages along the chain asking for introductions. This is just a really nice formal business way of making that connection. And also, if someone else is introducing us, it feels like a recommendation as well. So that's a really nice business way to connect with people who we don't know personally. If you're a recruitment business or your business is looking to add extra staff, then it's useful to know that LinkedIn is used a lot for recruitment. 90% of recruitment is apparently done online now, and of that 80% is done via LinkedIn. And you can see why, because we've populated our profiles with so much job information about ourselves. It's really helpful for recruiters to find relevant people who might be suitable for job roles. So companies will post their job adverts on LinkedIn now, and if you're looking for staff, you may choose to click on the jobs tab and post a job. This is where charge for services come in again, and it can be quite expensive to advertise that job on there. So have a good look through the costs involved before you decide whether or not it's worth posting that job advert on there. Once you've posted your job advert, LinkedIn then searches through different profiles for those keywords, for those skills and expertise that match the job role that you're advertising. And as people log into LinkedIn, it will show them on the right hand side some suggested job roles for them. So you'll find this happens to you as you log into LinkedIn. There'll be some job suggestions there, which if you're running your own business might not be relevant for you at this time, but it is useful for recruitment. So you can add your company page on LinkedIn, but it's not a particularly well used. So don't spend too much time agonising over this, but perhaps just put your basic information on there, as it is another way that people could stumble across your business. If you are going to utilise the job recruitment section of LinkedIn, then you will need to set up a company page just to link that job role to the company on LinkedIn, so people can look for a bit more information about what it is that you do there. But it's It's not a necessary part of it. If you just want your profile, just a bit of information about you, you may choose to leave that for now. We can click on the More option to find LinkedIn answers. This is, again, another place to network really on LinkedIn, so beyond the groups. People can ask questions and you can utilise this. If there's a particular business question that you need an answer to, you can pop a question on there. But for you as an expert, it's a useful place to pop on and have a look what questions people are asking and see if you can answer any of those questions. That way you're starting to show yourself as an expert and possibly getting to know other contacts on LinkedIn who you wouldn't have known personally. When we're searching on LinkedIn, we're typing in the search bar, and next to there is a drop-down list to help us narrow down those search results. So you can narrow down results by people's profiles, so you might be searching via someone's name. It might be through looking at their LinkedIn updates for particular keywords that you're after. It might be searching through job opportunities, companies, through the answers page that we've just looked at, or you might search through messages that you've received in your inbox, or searching through groups. So you can narrow down those search results to exactly what it is that you're looking for. It would be a great idea to just think about all those business connections that might be useful to you. So that might be different companies who you think you'd like to make a connection with or build a relationship with, particular people you have in mind, former colleagues who can perhaps make a recommendation for you. So take a moment to pause and complete task 2, just building this list of possible business connections, and just put a star next to any who you think would be useful to ask for a recommendation. So pause now to complete task 2. Let us know what you've thought about the module, if there's anything we could improve or what's been particularly useful, and take a moment to set yourself some actions from what you've learned from this module, what you'll take away and what actions you'll put in place to build your social media marketing strategy. And if you did find this useful, don't forget that there is further support available to you via email through our other online learning modules. Thank you for joining us.